up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to the Jordan Davis Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Davis, and if you're new here, welcome. I talk about all kinds of movies, DC, Marvel, Star Wars, any kind of blockbuster that is headlining Hollywood. I'm going to be talking about right here on the Jordan Davis Podcast. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and hit the notification bell at the bottom so you know when all my videos come out. So, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the episode at hand. We're going to be talking about Marvel today, particularly for Spider-Man. There's a lot of talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, and I wanted to talk about particularly about the Tom Holland Spider-Man, and that will Tobey's Spider-Man and will Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man overshadow, No Way Home? Will it overshadow Tom Holland's Spider-Man in this trilogy that he's going throughout? And so I'm going to tell you why it will not be overshadowed by pro wrestling terms. Now, the reason why I'm going to do this, I'm a big fan of pro wrestling and it's kind of lingo. So this might be new to you who are watching the video or know nothing about professional wrestling, but I'm going to explain it so it will kind of make you understand why Tobey and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will not overshadow, but it will just help Tom Holland's Spider-Man to be even greater. And so I'm going to tell you why. Now, going into the professional wrestling kind of thing, there's this lingo of putting someone over, putting a talent over. And that's how I'm going to explain to it of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield is this. It's just there to really make Tom Holland's Spider-Man great. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to look bad in any way. I don't believe that at all. I believe Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, which I believe is in this movie, in No Way Home. It's obvious. But I'm going to tell you why they're going to, make him good. But at the same time, Kevin Feige and the writers of this movie is really gonna give the fans what they want. They're gonna give them rematches of the villains that they fought. They're gonna give us things that we never thought we would see in live action in a Spider-Man movie. And also we've got kind of the Spider-Verse in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales being the focus of the film. Even having bunch of Spider-Man introduced and having some great moments with Spider-Gwen, Peter B. Parker, all kinds of great Spider-Man moments that were in that movie, but we're able to keep the focus on Miles Morales because he was the true heart, he was the true soul of the movie that was written about him. And that's how I think it's gonna be done, because first of all, it's Kevin Feige. There's no reason why we shouldn't trust Kevin Feige because he knows what he's doing. He knows these characters, he knows how to write movies, he knows how to produce movies. He knows what fits and he knows what doesn't. And so that's the exact reason, because he's done movies like The Avengers. He's done movies like a Captain America Civil War. And in Endgame, how they balance everything, especially with Infinity War, because that has a bigger cast than the Spider-Man cast. That we know of in No Way Home. And I think at the end of the day, we just gotta trust that man. Because that man, majority of the time, has not failed us. Only a couple of times has a MCU movie not given us great quality of a movie, but like I said, the majority of the time he always delivers. And so I just think what they're doing with this multiverse saga or arc, whatever you want to say, or with how they're finishing like the first trilogy of the Tom Holland Spider-Man, because obviously there's going to be much more trilogy to come, because Tom Holland is so young. He's even younger than the other Spider-Man that started out. So I have absolutely no doubt that Tom Holland's going to get even more trilogies, to get even more movies in the MCU, because it just makes too much money, and everyone loves him in the MCU, so they're not going to take him out of it like they did a couple of years ago. And we all know how that came about. It was not a pretty picture. So that's my first point. And my second point, I believe with Marvel Studios and Sony working together, I think this has the potential to be like to a point of how Into the Spider-Verse was so good. Because obviously this is going to make a lot of money. When you put Green Goblin, when you put Doc Ock, when you put Rhino, Lizard, Sandman, all those other people in a movie with Tobey, Tom, and Andrew's Spider-Man, I'm not saying it's going to make $1 billion, but it's going to make $1 billion. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think I've heard a lot of people saying, how are they gonna, do it? Because we're hearing that even Andrew and Tobey's are gonna be co-stars, the same as Tom. At the moment they enter into the movie, they're gonna be co-stars. And everyone's like, it's gonna be too much. They're not gonna have enough time. I can't remember how long Into the Spider-Verse was. I know Civil War was about 2 hours and 27 minutes. And so if we're talking about time length here, I think that's about 220, 225, maybe 227, the same as Civil War. But I think they have the perfect blueprint. Kevin Feige has had the perfect blueprint how they're going to do this whole multiverse thing with Into the Spider-Verse. I think that's kind of the blueprint. How do you find a way to introduce all these multiversal Spider-Man and keep it focused on the character that you're trying, to focus on? And that is Tom Holland's Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Same thing they did with Miles Morales. They're going to do the same thing here in No Way Home. And I think that's another reason why I'm not going to worry too much, because everything I have heard from like other people who know a lot about the movie, it's a pretty good script, right? It's a pretty good script. They know what they're doing. And I just think that they're just gonna follow the blueprint of Into the Spider-Verse. Now, you could write something. A script can be really good, right? A script can be astonishing, but it's all about execution. If you do the execution right, then you're good. But if you have a great script and you don't have the execution, and it doesn't come off how you wrote it, then you're in trouble, right? You're in deep trouble, because it's not gonna be as good. Because it's gonna have the nostalgia, it's gonna have the big moments, but the execution, how you do it, does not come across right on screen. And I think they're going to do that. And so going into the title, will Tobey and Andrew overshadow Tom Holland Spider-Man? No. So I'm gonna go into the wrestling term. Um, they're like I said, going over means putting over a young and up and coming talent against a establishing star, like a top name star puts over um, a up and coming star. So, for example, let's say like one of the biggest pop culture icons, The Rock. He was a really extremely famous wrestler, and let's say if he came back and he was going after the title, I'm going to be the next champion, and he's going after that person. And it's WrestleMania, and we're in the main event, and we all expect him to, win that title, but he doesn't. Because his main purpose was always to put over that current wrestler, that current champion. Because he was never going to win it. Because you're really putting over that current champion. Because if that current champion beats The Rock, he has so much credibility for the current company. They can say, "Oh my gosh, they beat The Rock," and so kind of like that. Now, I'm not saying that like I said, I'm not saying Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are gonna get like owned by Tom Holland. No, they're not gonna do that. Um, like they're gonna have their great and awesome moments for the fans, like moments that will be remembered forever in the MCU, forever remembered for those fans who are. Doesn't matter if you're Andrew fans or Tobey Maguire fans, you're going to remember it. But they're the majority reason why they're there is because to help Tom Holland be the Spider-Man that we all know that he can be, and we're gonna see that in this movie, right? He's gonna give him those two Spider-Men are gonna give him encouragement, are gonna give him lessons, advice, right? And they are supporting characters. And I think when we watch this movie, it will be clear, even though if they might be co-stars, they are co-stars. They are supporting characters, and it will be clear that Tom Holland is the Spider-Man of the MCU and is the Spider-Man that they're focusing on the story. So that's, in my opinion, that's the reason why that we don't have to worry about them overshadowing, because these Spider-Man are going to play the roles how it was written. And I think Kevin Feige knows his control. He knows how to produce a movie. He knows how to know when a great script is right. And that's why I have no worries about it. I really don't. I think every Spider-Man's gonna have his, movie scene-stealing moment, but at the end of the day, it will focus it back on Tom Holland's Spider-Man, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my opinion on the whole Tobey and Andrew taking the spotlight from Tom, which I don't think is gonna happen. So now that you know my thoughts, what are your thoughts? What do you think about the whole, Tobey and Andrew taking the spotlight from Tom? Do you believe that could happen, or are you going to trust Marvel and Kevin Feige in the whole way how he does movies? So, and also I want to know, what's your anticipation about this whole movie? Are you just chewing your fingernails, waiting for that trailer, waiting for that movie? What's your excitement level? What do you want to see in this movie overall? And I would love to hear from you in the comments below, so we can really start that conversation. So yeah, so I would be excited to hear from you, to really hear what you all think. So yeah, that's gonna be the end of the episode. I want to thank you all for listening to my video, and for people that can't watch my video, I have my audio only podcasts on all kind of podcasts like Spotify, Apple, Google, anything you can think of. My podcasts are on those podcast websites, so go and check them out and search the Jordan Davis podcast. So until next time, until the next video, I'll see you later. Bye.